to 2026 edition of the Calgary Elixir Meetup. Another year, more fresh faces. Whoever's new here, show of hands. Let's see. 1, 2, 3 first timers. 3 first timers. Well, guys, welcome. We do this every 2 months. You can find us on Discord, on Meetup. That's where we do all the communication. So, super stoked to have you guys here. Yeah, I think we should do quick shout-outs first. I mean, we do them. Everyone who's been here knows. Company I work for, Hive, they sponsor this. They give us the money for the pizza and beer. So make sure to eat and drink your fill. And then Kevin's company, RBC, they give us this sweet space. And we've got this like awesome sauna to do all the talks. Maybe one day the other room, the AC or the AV will be fixed. So we're not sitting here sweating. But until then, we got this sweet room. So yeah, tonight we got 2 new speakers coming up. So Brandon's doing a first time talk, which is super exciting. Our very own cameraman Grigori's going to do a talk, and then Kevin's going to close it out. So no one wants to hear me talk. I'll get out of the way and let the pros do it. So give it up for Brandon.
Cool. All right. Yeah, so I decided to build kind of a little message queue application, Elixir, kind of learn some Elixir stuff, kind of SQS inspired. So I don't know if everyone's familiar with kind of message queue, SQS. But yeah, kind of, like I said, like kind of why I decided to learn some OTP patterns, how SQS works under the hood, and then, yeah, explore concurrency using Beam. Yeah, so kind of the problem, or I was looking at is the queue I'm building is pretty simple, but it's kind of processing things in FIFO order, and then also has group IDs. And purpose for the group IDs is that you can have different groups running in parallel, but you still have that FIFO order for each one. So say you have like a bunch of like webhooks coming in, but they're from different places, and you want to group them by the provider that they are, but you still want to process them in order. You could do them in parallel and kind of add some more speed to them. And do it that way. So yeah, it kind of goes through here on as well. I do have a demo as well, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Yeah, so this is kind of what it would look like. So if you're publishing a message to the queue, so yeah, you kind of have queue that you target. So this would be like orders. The group ID would be Alice or Bob for these ones. And then you have your payload, which could be anything you want to be processing or have be processed in the application. So kind of, yeah, you can have them running at the same time through the queues. Okay, so kind of the key design decision was I could either kind of logically create the groups, or I could just Elixirify it and throw gen servers and processes at it. So that's kind of what I did with this. So you kind of have the main queue, and then each like sub queue or group would actually be like actual whole new gen servers. So they're completely independent. So if one dies and fails, you can just, the other ones are processing stuff the entire time. So yeah, kind of the thing I was saying here is that processors are cheap and we can just use them. For this, so this is kind of like the architecture for this. So we have kind of the supervisor of the whole application, and then I kind of fell into this architecture of kind of supervisor, and then it's just monitoring a bunch of stuff. So it's kind of able to keep things alive and monitor them if they die or not. We'll kind of get into some of these a little bit later into the talk, which are kind of ones I find kind of interesting. Would be like the stats aggregator. For this, and the janitor that kind of is the cleanup crew of kind of dead or empty queues that haven't been used for a while. And then I also added just a live view dashboard just to kind of visualize so we can have something to look at a little bit later. And so yeah, so kind of I have like a router for this. So for every queue that's made, so say we have like the orders queue. So that would be kind of like the parent queue that is made for this. And then if you add a group ID, then it's automatically kind of tagged on and creates, if there isn't already that group created, it'll create that new queue. And so it'll be like queue name, group ID for that. And it's a whole new process that is spun up. Kind of a, yeah, code snippet here that we have. And also, I'll touch on this a bit later, but with the stats aggregator, we will register each queue with that so that it can keep track of how many messages are being processed through the queues, and then kind of aggregates them and makes it look nice on the front end to say if we have like two or three different groups, it'll kind of aggregate them all, and then the main group will have the actual whole number of all of them put together. Yeah. And then just for this, just for the handlers, it kind of just looks in like the handlers folder for this, and then creates them that way as well. So for example, I have like the mailroom.handlers.demo, and then it looks, if I have a demo queue, it'll just look for that, and then I just have it like log out and then sleep and then log again that it's completed. Obviously, you can put whatever you want, handle the queues however you'd like to handle them. So that's kind of how I've done that. And then, yeah, so this is kind of interesting, I think, for the stats aggregation. So kind of like I said before, like with the, if you have like the pending orders in the raw queues, on the UI, it'll just say the orders queue has 5 things pending in it. So it's always looping around, looking for how many orders in each state that they're in on the queues, and then kind of just displaying them nicely. So it's a little easier to reason about, I guess, how many items are in the queue. Because to the user, they only know it's just one queue, but under the hood, it could be 10 queues in there, but they're kind of all acting as one. So kind of, I guess, some interesting problems that I was kind of looking at is, kind of timeouts that were happening. What I figured is that a lot of these were being blocked, a lot of the calls, especially for like registering queue, for example here. So I just made them async by using cast. So I thought that was kind of an interesting problem to look at, and also it took me a little while to figure out what was happening with that. I was wondering what the heck was going on. So it was kind of fun going through that. And then the UI stuff, just adding debounce, which is kind of cool because I'm still learning Phoenix and everything with that. So I'm used to kind of writing React and doing debounce, and that's pretty easy. So learning it through this was kind of cool to do. So I just have like a dirty flag for it, and then it's always kind of checking and comparing for the UI to update. So it's kind of an interesting and different way, I guess, to kind of reason about the problem. And then what else did I have? With PubSub as well. There was duplicate subscriptions happening with this, so the numbers were getting kind of wacky at some points, and so I was like, what the heck is going on with this? So looking through it, also with a little bit of help with Claude, helping me guide me through what's happening with this. But this is kind of interesting. So I created this maybe subscribe function that basically is just checking, are we already subscribed to this? And then if we are, then don't worry about it. But if we aren't, then we have to subscribe to it for PubSub, and so we can have the accurate data on the screen. And let's go to the live demo. Sorry. Okay, so we have here demo mode for this. So there's a few different scenarios. So the kind of basic one is just hit that, and it'll just send just 5 messages, and they're just kind of being processed. And just to see in the so you can even see in like all the messages and the logs here that they're just going through there. Kind of cool. See, that's pretty straightforward. This one actually has 3 groups parallel, so you can kind of see them jumping at the same time, and then they're all just getting processed through there. So it's kind of cool seeing like a bunch of them running at the same time. And again, we have it all in the logs here as well. Oops. And then this one is just bursting. I think there's 4 groups in this one, and they went pretty quick. I did also add a slight delay on the UI too, just so you can see the numbers jumping around. But if you don't have it, it's actually like super fast, which is impressive. I was like, at one point I was wondering if it was working or not, but then I added a little delay and said, okay, it's actually like going through like all the processes. And then this one is also just the FIFO, which is pretty self-explanatory for this. Like they're all just being processed in order through the logs here. Let's see if I can maybe just hammer some of these and see what happens. I haven't really tried this too much, but I think I can just like, yeah, so yeah, I guess they'll kind of keep going. So if I just kind of keep hammering, it'll keep processing all the messages. Yeah, so it's kind of cool to do with that. Yeah, any questions or anything people want to see on the demo or try to break it?
Why did you pick this as a project?
I was working a lot with SQS at work in general and just like using that. So I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting. So,
Yeah.
but then like the more I thought about it, especially with the, like the group IDs and everything and how I was like, I wonder if I could just do this in Elixir and like see if I could like each one of these could just be its own process that just fires itself
Yeah.
or worries about itself. So, yeah, that's kind of, I guess, the inspiration to try to do that and see if I could just build it myself. And in this, obviously, it's a very basic version of it. There's no like, back pressure or anything or trying to handle kind of any complex problems with queues. But as a general idea, it works pretty good. So, yeah. Any other questions?
Since you mentioned back pressure, where in your code base would you think to start adding that?
It's a good question. I can go through kind of the code base a little bit here and see. So, kind of where everything's happening. So a lot of the stuff in here is like where I build a lot of the queue stuff. So probably in here, and then either maybe in like the manager here in this gen server, that's, could set limits or looking out for, if this thing's starting to get bogged down, then try to apply it. But yeah, that I haven't really sorted out. But any suggestions, obviously open to if anyone has any ideas of, what to do for that. Also, there is no DL queues, which I think would be kind of the next thing to try to work on. Which, just in case anyone doesn't know, just if any messages have failed, because there is retry on these messages. I think default is about 3 I have set for them, but it's configurable. But they just kind of die at this point and go to failed. But if I want to kind of be more like SQS, I could have DL queues where they just go sit in there and then just transfer the message so they're not blocking anymore. So that's, I guess, kind of the next steps that I could think about as well. I do have a couple more slides, I think. Yeah, so I guess some key takeaways that processes are cheap. Just use them. You can spawn a bunch of them, and they're pretty quick. I found that, yeah, they're pretty easy to reason about, especially building this process, like just building gen servers. A lot of them now, I kind of have a rhythm, I guess, of kind of how they look and how they should feel, and building them. So it's kind of nice. Pub sub is awesome. Yeah, it's cool just like being able to like pass messages around and have things like, subscribe to them throughout the application, and just, it's honestly like pretty trivial to use pub sub throughout the application. And yeah, a lot of the stuff I've used for a lot of this stuff, kind of like async by default, unless I really need like know the response for something. But a lot of the stuff I found out I really didn't need to wait for the response for it. So yeah, just kind of use CAS until you can't, I guess. It's kind of what I've figured, at least for this project. And then yeah, kind of the whole, I guess, let it crash mentality that Elixir and the Beam has. Yeah, it seems that it's, especially with the supervisors and having all that, like it's pretty hands-off, I guess. Like once you have that all set up, it's, yeah, you kind of just let it do its thing, and then unless something catastrophic happens, you just kind of let it run. So it's been pretty cool looking at that. And then also with the supervision tree, order matters for registering some of these supervisors. And I found that out when things were going kind of squirrely on it. So yeah, definitely wanted to have like kind of supervisor, especially the stats aggregator. Trying to figure out where to put this was kind of tricky, just because it's touching so many different queues in different parts of the project. But I figured it kind of the higher up made sense to put it there. But yeah, then I guess one thing I didn't really talk about, but I can with this, is the janitor, which is so obviously if you have a bunch of IDs or group IDs, it can spin up a bunch of different queues, and you don't want to have dead ones hanging out there because they're just kind of useless at that point and taking up memory. So I have it so it just runs every couple minutes and checks, has this queue process a message in the last X amount. It's configurable. I think it's like default like 5 minutes. If not, then it just shuts it down. And it's kind of nice because, say, those messages, like they stop for about 5-10 minutes, shut that down, but then like a half hour later, if they start up again, it'll just create a new queue and then just like process them like they were before. So it's, yeah, kind of nice to have it just handle all that stuff by itself.
So why instead of janitor, just not let them die? So run them for as long as you can get message without waiting, basically when queue is not empty, message queue, and then it dies. So like you potentially can like have to recreate a gen server if they, for example, come in like an interval of 1 second.
Yep.
But again, like it's Elixir, it's cheap, so like you can actually, I think, abandon janitor. Idea of janitor is to just like let the gen server die.
Yeah, I guess it could let it die. I guess, yeah, I just wasn't sure how long like they're gonna stick around for after that if they weren't processing, but.
In theory, you don't need to stick around like at all.
Yeah.
Like even like spawning this process is cheap.
Yep.
Even if they are created every half a second, like it's not gonna meaningfully impact your system. And if system is loaded, they will not be created every half a second.
True.
So
Yeah.
Fairly unique situation. So
Yeah.
for any practical purposes, they either be long lived your system is loaded,
Yeah.
or they will be like spawn and die dead like for like, and they will be more dead than like alive. So like make janitors like not even needed.
True. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I guess I could just let them. Yeah, I guess because they. Yeah.
Well, if you do that though, how long does it take to reinstantiate the instance? Like if you're expecting to have like 1 billion messages hit you simultaneously,
Yep.
to have to reinstantiate would introduce too much lag.
So the queues spin up like almost instantly. They're pretty quick to spin them up. So it's
Like
not.
I'm agreeing with you.
Mhm.
No, don't let it die.
Yeah.
It's surviving because it takes too much to necessitate it.
I mean, if anything, I probably could more practical way. I guess this is maybe just more of a thought experiment for building this and just like clean up.
Like letting it die doesn't scale, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, it scales.
It could scale, yeah.
If you're getting hit with 1 billion messages, it won't scale. You need to have something running all the time.
You should test it. You should test it and find out.
Yeah.
Actual.
Well, if I'm like finding a jet or something like that, I
Yeah.
need real-time code.
And to be clear, like the parent queues, they don't get cleaned up. It's just the sub queues that get cleaned up eventually. Because this is, I guess, an assumption for the system that if you have a parent queue that you've made, that you probably want that one available just all the time. So yeah, it would be it only kind of cleans up the group queues, but yeah, that's I think.
It's a cool project.
Yeah.
I heard from people that, like people that work for Discord, for example,
Yep.
that genserver.call is good for back pressure, but I don't really understand why.
Okay.
Because it only processes one at a time.
Because the only person was the one
Is this because it slows it down? Maybe that it's.
Okay.
Yeah, but what the problem is you end up filling up the message queue, the mailbox for the gen server.
Yeah.
and it's,
Yeah.
The gen stage, the library, is better for back pressure.
Okay. Oh yeah, we got the other expert over here. On, yeah.
Yeah, there's an Elixir library called Gen Stage, and
Yeah.
it has producers, producer consumers, and that handles back pressure for you.
So that would be the next iteration of this, would be like if you needed super performant, super scaling.
Well, if you need it to have back pressure, so that
Okay.
you don't crush yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you need it to be fast, maybe you don't want fast pressure.
Okay.
Nice.
That's the other problem with call is that, like cast and handle info are effectively non-blocking inherently,
Yeah.
but call is blocking.
Right.
So you can get into
Get a
Bad
pickle.
situation.
Yeah, I've definitely found that out. Yeah, using that
That's
is.
a good way to find out, though, right?
Yeah, it was.
It's a good way to learn the lesson.
Yeah, it definitely kind of drilled in my head though.
Yeah,
what
learn
what
it
you.
on a pet project and not when you're getting paid to.
Yeah, exactly. I can afford to make those mistakes, I guess, with it. So, yeah. So I have a QR code if anyone wants to check out the project or open any contributions people want to try. Playing around with it too. That's cool too. But yeah. Any questions or anything before we look?
Just curiosity, like, have you tried to? You said like in the future, if you need like sync, then you'll do it. But instead of sync, you can do async with continuation passing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll stay async and basically don't have to think ever about like when it's blocking. So like just like abandon the idea of synchronous call at all.
Oh.
But
Okay.
consider like continuation passing style instead of blocking calls.
Yeah.
In general.
Yeah, that could be something to consider too. Yeah, I could look into that. Sure. Sweet. Awesome. Thanks, everyone.